Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take stacks of information, distill them down, and give you the most important insights.
That's the goal.
And today, we're diving deep into the global brand management solutions market. We're using the Big Outlook 2021-2033 report from Cognitive Market Research as our guide.
A pretty comprehensive look.
Exactly. So our mission today, you get a clear picture, concise of where this market is, where it's heading, and how different regions are playing into that.
Sort of the global map of brand tech.
Think of it as your fast track to understanding this, well, pretty rapidly evolving industry. Okay, let's unpack this. What's the big picture here? Like, what's the overall scale?
Well, what's really striking is just the scale and the growth. So back in 2021, the global market, already valued at just over $10 billion.
$10 billion, okay. Robust.
Right, but it's really the projections that catch your eye. By 2025, so pretty soon, we're looking at it hitting almost $13.2 billion. And then, fast forward to 2033, the market's expected to more than double that 2021 number, reaching an impressive $22.7 billion.
Oh, doubling in about a decade.
Exactly. And that reflects a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of almost 7% over that whole forecast period.
Almost 7% globally.
It's a clear signal, of some serious global investment happening.
That's significant growth. So what's actually driving this? What are the main forces behind this global expansion in brand management stuff?
Well, the report points to a few key things. Fundamentally, it's this huge wave of digital transformation happening everywhere.
Right, across all industries.
Across all industries. Businesses are adopting marketing automation tools much more aggressively. And maybe most importantly, there's this growing realization that investing in and protecting your brand equity, it's absolutely crucial.
Can't ignore it anymore.
Not in today's world, no.
Yeah.
It's noisy, everything's connected, how your brand is seen, how it's managed, that directly hits the bottom line.
That makes total sense. Okay, quick clarification before we dig into the regions. When the report says brand management solutions, what exactly does that cover? Is it software, consulting?
Yeah, good question. Important context. So generally it means a mix of technologies and services. Things designed to help companies build, monitor, maintain a consistent positive brand image.
Okay. Like what specifically?
Think digital asset management systems, keeping logos and images straight, brand consistency tools, online reputation monitoring software is a big one.
Watching social media and reviews?
Exactly. And even CRM systems where they touch on brand interactions, analytics platforms too, measuring brand perception, engagement. It's really about keeping that unified brand presence everywhere a customer might see you.
Got it. The whole toolkit. Perfect. So with a global picture and definition in mind, let's zoom in. What stands out regionally? Which markets are sort of the established leaders?
North America, definitely still a major powerhouse. It contributed over a third of the global market back in 2021.
Over a third, okay.
And it's projected to more than double its value by 2033. We're talking over $8 billion.
Wow. Why so strong there?
Well, the region's always been a hub for innovation, right? Especially in software, digital marketing. And you really see that reflected in these numbers.
And within North America, is it mainly the U.S. or is it spread out?
The U.S. is certainly the dominant force, accounts for the lion's share of that growth.
Makes sense.
But what's interesting is you also see really strong individual growth rates from Canada and Mexico. Canada, for instance, projected to grow its market by like 7.5% a year.
That's pretty high.
It is. It suggests that even in these, more mature markets, there's still this dynamic expansion happening, driven by more digital adoption, focus on brand consistency.
Okay. So North America leads in size.
Right.
What about Europe? How does it stack up? Similar growth.
Europe also shows very robust growth. It's also projected to more than double its 2021 size by 2033. It's another mature market, like North America, but maybe with slightly different dynamics. Regulations, diverse consumer bases across countries.
Right. Any particular standouts in Europe?
Germany is a particularly strong player, expected to cross the $1 billion mark by 2033. It's got a solid CAGR over 7.2%. Mm-hmm. The UK also shows promising growth. And then you've got France, Italy, Spain, the Nordics. They're all significant contributors. Sweden, Denmark showing good numbers too.
So widespread across Europe as well.
It really highlights that this isn't just a U.S. thing. Across these diverse European economies, brand management is seen as, essential now.
Okay, now this is where I saw something really jump out in the numbers. The highest growth rate, Asia Pacific, Tell us about that region. What's fueling that incredible speed?
You're absolutely right. Asia Pacific is, yeah, the real powerhouse for growth rate. Highest CAGR of all the major regions. We're talking nearly 8% annually.
Almost 8%.
Yeah. It's set to blow past $6.2 billion by 2033. It's just an explosion in digital adoption, rapidly expanding middle class in many countries there.
Okay, and which countries are really pushing that? Is it one or two or more broad?
India is truly remarkable, expected to lead the pack with an 8.6% annual growth rate.
Wow, 8.6. Why India specifically?
Well, think about it. Massive, digitally native population, booming e-commerce, rapid expansion of local businesses needing to build brands quickly.
Right, in China.
China also shows very strong growth, yeah. Continuing its path as a, digital giant. Japan and South Korea also strong momentum, as you'd expect from tech-forward nations. But even places like Singapore, a smaller economy, relatively nearly tripling its market size, and 8.2% CAGR. Incredible. It just shows this digital shift, this focus on brand. It's happening everywhere across the region, Southeast Asia, Taiwan. Yeah. They're all part of the surge.
Fascinating. Okay, so we've hit the big established player, North America, and the fastest grower, APAC. Let's pivot. What about some of the other regions, South America, for instance?
South America's market is definitely expanding, too. Also projected to more than double its 2021 value by 2033.
Doubling there, too. Who leads?
Brazil leads in overall size, which, makes sense given its economy. But interestingly, Argentina actually shows an even stronger growth rate, a CGR over 7.7%.
Argentina, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And it reflects, increasing digital connectivity across the continent. Businesses there realizing they need digital branding to reach that growing online consumer base. Chile, Colombia, Peru also showing consistent growth.
Okay. And the Middle East, similar story.
The Middle East presents maybe a steadier rise, but still significant, also projected to more than double by 2033.
Okay. Key players.
Saudi Arabia and the UAE are the main drivers. The UAE in particular showing strong momentum, an 8% annual growth rate there.
8% in the UAE.
Yeah, often tied to, economic diversification efforts, big investments in digital infrastructure. That naturally makes brand presence more important. Turkey's another notable market there, too.
Right. And finally, let's touch on Africa. How does its brand management solutions market look?
Africa's market, well, it's smaller in absolute dollars compared to the others right now.
Understandable.
But it's also on a strong upward path, expected to more than double by 2033 as well.
So doubling seems to be the theme everywhere.
Pretty much. South Africa leads, but Nigeria and the rest of the continent collectively are showing respectable growth too.
What's driving it there?
It seems closely linked to increasing mobile phone use, internet penetration, and this burgeoning startup scene in many African countries. Creates new demand for brand visibility, brand management tools. Definitely an emerging frontier for these solutions.
Okay, wow. So we've gone around the globe. North America, Europe, APAC, South America, Middle East, Africa, growth pretty much everywhere, some faster than others. If we boil all this down, what are the absolute key takeaways for someone listening trying to get a quick handle on this?
I think the main message is really clear. This market, brand management solutions, it's not just growing, it's becoming, well, indispensable for businesses globally.
Not just a nice to have anymore.
Exactly. The sheer growth, pretty much everywhere we looked, it just underlines that brands today are built, they're maintained in a digital-first, always-on world.
Right.
And this isn't just about, fancy marketing campaigns. It's fundamental. Reputation, customer trust, staying competitive.
It really does sound like a truly global shift then. Different flavors in each region, maybe, but the same underlying trend.
Precisely. You've got North America's innovation hubs pushing new tech. You've got APAC's booming digital economy driving massive adoption. Europe's mature markets are refining strategies.
Yeah.
And then Africa and South America showing that emerging potential. The whole industry is clearly pointed towards a future where these digital solutions are absolutely central to how strong brands are built, managed, and, importantly, perceived. Businesses don't just have a brand. They have to actively manage every single aspect of it now.
That really wraps it up nicely. Okay, that concludes our deep dive into the global brand management solutions market. Hopefully, listening to this, you've got a clearer, maybe more nuanced view of where this industry is heading and the forces behind it.
Yeah, it really does underscore just how important brand management has become in, our super connected world. It's way beyond just advertising now.
Definitely. So here's something for you to think about. We see this huge growth everywhere, driven by digital transformation, marketing automation. What does the trajectory mean for the future of, say, brand loyalty?
Hmm. Interesting question.
In this increasingly fragmented digital world, will all this sophisticated brand management make consumers more loyal? Maybe less loyal because everything feels managed.
Something to chew on.
Exactly. Something to mull over as we all navigate this increasingly brand-conscious world. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Let's face it for a moment. In today's digital world, it can feel like brands are just everywhere, omnipresent almost.
Yeah.
You see them on websites, inside apps, all of your social feeds, e-commerce sites. I mean, even still in traditional media, it's incredibly fragmented.
It really is.
So the big question is, how does any brand, especially a large global one, keep a consistent identity, a single voice when it's popping up in so many different places at once? That's a huge challenge.
A massive one.
So today in this deep dive, we're tackling something that's, well, it's rapidly becoming a really critical tool for organizations facing exactly this problem. Brand management solutions. These aren't just like software packages. They're quickly becoming foundational, the backbone, really, for everything from making sure the brand looks and sounds right everywhere to managing huge libraries of digital assets, especially at scale. What makes them so essential right now?
Well, what's fascinating here, I think, is how these solutions are specifically designed, really engineered, to empower teams. They focus on keeping that visual and tonal consistency locked down. And they do that by centralizing everything, all the brand assets, the guidelines, even the workflows sometimes.
Yeah.
So it means that everyone, no matter their role or where they are, could be a designer in Toronto or a marketing lead over in Tokyo, they're all aligned, working from the same vision. It really cuts through a lot of potential chaos.
Makes sense.
And, it's more than just looking good. Consistency actually reduces the cognitive load for customers. Think about it. In this sea of digital noise, a consistent brand, it signals reliability. It helps people instantly recognize and, importantly, trust your message.
Which impacts loyalty, purchasing.
Exactly. Directly impacts loyalty and buying decisions. It's not just aesthetics, it's business.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this then. In this deep dive, we're going to pull apart your sources, really understand what's driving this market forward, what hurdles companies are actually facing when they try to implement this stuff, and maybe most interestingly, what trends are shaping its future.
Sounds good.
You're basically about to get a shortcut to being really well-informed on a critical piece of the modern marketing puzzle. So with that challenge, clear brands trying to survive this fragmented world, what's really propelling these brand management solutions into the spotlight right now. Let's dig into the core drivers.
Yep.
The first one, and maybe the most obvious, is this undeniable need for a consistent brand identity across all those channels we just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's just not enough anymore to have a logo and a tagline, is it? What actually happens if you don't get that consistency?
Well, it's more than just like a nice to have. Consistency becomes absolutely paramount.
Right.
When your brand shows up across websites, apps, social, e-commerce, traditional media, any mismatch, any dissonance, it instantly erodes trust and recognition. So these solutions, they specifically empower teams to make sure every single touch point feels like it's coming from the same brand. That signals reliability, like I said, and it builds that crucial customer loyalty over time.
And speaking of all those touch points, another huge driver is simply the speed of digitalization and the sheer explosion of content, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Brands are creating staggering amounts of content every single day. You think about ad creatives, social posts, emails, product videos. It's just endless. How does that volume make the old ways of managing a brand? Well, unsustainable. What's the real cost if they can't handle it?
Trying to manage that explosion of content while keeping the branding perfect, it requires powerful tools. Without them, it just becomes a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You get version control chaos, off-brand messages slipping through the cracks. That's really where these platforms shine. They let organizations securely store, find, and distribute all those digital assets quickly and accurately.
So speed and accuracy.
Exactly. It means every campaign can move at, digital speed, but without sacrificing brand integrity.
Yeah.
That's a huge strategic advantage compared to the older manual ways of doing things.
That sounds like a game changer, definitely. And sort of tied into all this is the increased focus on customer experience and personalization.
Hmm.
Customers today, they don't just want good products. They expect, even demand, a consistent, relatable brand experience at every single interaction. So how do you tailor messages for different people without losing that core brand feel? That seems tricky.
It is tricky, and this is critical. As companies customize their messaging for different audiences, different platforms, different regions, keeping the branding cohesive gets incredibly complex.
Right.
Brand management solutions allow for what you could call scalable personalization. Marketers can adapt the messages, the nuances, while rigorously sticking to the core brand standards.
Okay.
And this ability to deliver these seamless on-brand experiences, even when talking to diverse audiences, that's a major factor pushing the market growth. It makes sure that even if the message is tailored, the brand identity, it remains unmistakably yours.
Okay, so those drivers clearly show the need.
Yeah.
But, like any big tech shift, actually adopting it isn't always easy.
Hmm.
What are some of the biggest hurdles organizations run into when they try to implement these solutions? Let's start with what's often a big one for any new tech.
Yeah.
The cost. High initial setup, ongoing subscriptions.
Yeah, it's true. Rolling out a comprehensive brand management solution, it can involve a pretty significant upfront investment.
Right.
You've got platform licensing, maybe system integration costs, definitely
Yeah.
staff training. For smaller companies, SMEs, that financial hit can be daunting.
Sure.
And then there are often, hidden costs later on. Maybe you need more storage or you need to add more users as you grow. That can strain marketing budgets, even healthy ones, especially maybe in markets that are more cost conscious.
Yeah.
It's definitely a long-term investment, and the ROI isn't always like immediately obvious on day one.
And beyond the money, just integrating these new platforms with all the existing, maybe older legacy systems, that sounds like a massive headache.
It can be.
What are the common technical traps there? And does that integration struggle sometimes lead to more inconsistencies in the short term, ironically?
Absolutely, that can happen. Many organizations are still running on, older foundational systems, think CRM, ERP, maybe older CMS platforms.
All right.
And often these just don't play nicely out of the box with modern brand management tools. So that can lead to workflow bottlenecks, frustrating data silos where information gets stuck. And yes, ironically, sometimes even more branding inconsistencies while you're trying to sort it all out.
Right, during the transition.
Exactly. Integrating these new platforms often needs specialized IT help, technical expertise, which isn't always readily available inside every company.
That really highlights the human challenge, too. I remember a time my own team resisted a new software update for months just because it messed with their old habits. Which brings us to another big hurdle. Internal resistance, maybe limited user adoption.
Yes. Change management.
Beyond just training, how do organizations really get people to embrace these changes, not just put up with them?
It's a very common scenario, unfortunately. Creative teams, marketing departments, they might push back against switching from workflows they know, or maybe they feel like these new systems are too rigid, too restrictive. And if you don't have enough training or clear communication about why this is beneficial and really robust change management support, adoption rates can really suffer.
And then you're not getting the value.
Exactly. The unfortunate result is some organizations end up underusing this big investment they made, which obviously cuts down the potential return and the overall impact of the solution. It's really about showing people how these tools empower them, make the jobs easier or more effective, not just restrict them.
It makes sense. Despite those very real hurdles, though, the future for brand management solutions looks incredibly dynamic. What trends are really reshaping this space and how brands will operate? First up, something that seems to be everywhere, AI and automation features getting integrated.
Yes.
These platforms are becoming so much more than just like digital filing cabinets, right?
This is where things get really interesting and strategically quite profound, actually.
Okay.
AI is being used for things like automatically tagging files, which saves enormous amounts of time. It can detect content that doesn't meet brand guidelines, even suggest the best creative formats for different channels.
Wow.
And automation just dramatically speeds up execution while also cutting down on manual errors. Imagine designers shifting away from constantly policing brand guidelines
They're freeing them up.
and dedicating almost all their time to pure creative work. Or marketing teams getting real-time, data-driven insights that slash campaign lead times and boost ROI. That's the kind of strategic advantage AI unlocks. It's fundamentally reshaping the marketer's role.
That sounds incredibly powerful, especially for creative teams.
Right.
Another major trend, which, well, it makes perfect sense given how the world works now, is the big shift to cloud-based and scalable platforms.
Absolutely essential now. With the rise of remote work,
Yeah.
globally distributed marketing teams, cloud native systems aren't a luxury anymore. They're basically infrastructure.
Right.
They offer real-time collaboration, much better version control, and the ability to launch campaigns way faster. Doesn't matter if your team is in one office or spread across 5 continents.
Everyone's on the same page.
Everyone can access the exact same brand toolkit from anywhere, anytime. That ensures global consistency, but still allows for local agility.
And finally, a really intriguing trend, especially for modern marketing, is how these tools are being used more in influencer marketing and multi-brand campaigns.
Yes, that's a big one.
As more companies work with external creators, agencies, partners, keeping control of the brand gets even harder. How do these solutions help maintain that integrity when the message isn't purely internal?
This is a huge strategic shift. You're seeing new features like shareable portals, sophisticated permission controls, libraries of pre-approved content.
Oh, okay.
These things are letting brands extend their reach through partners without watering down their identity. It means brands can tap into the energy and audience of third-party ambassadors or specialized agencies, but still make sure every single piece of content aligns perfectly with their brand guidelines.
That seems crucial.
It's particularly relevant in really fast-moving industries, like fashion, consumer goods, entertainment, where you need that agility, but consistency is still absolutely key. They have to go hand in hand. So if we kind of synthesize the core takeaway here, it's that the brand management solutions market isn't just getting bigger, it's profoundly evolving. It's adapting to meet the really complex, always changing demands of today's marketing world. And, knowledge, as always, is most valuable when you understand it and can apply it.
Right.
We've touched on some really impactful shifts today, how AI and automation are genuinely transforming content governance, even the marketer's job description.
Yeah.
The absolute necessity of scalable cloud access for teams that are spread out everywhere. And that surprising but really important way these solutions are empowering external partners like influencers through things like shareable portals and pre-approved content. It's a really dynamic space right now.
So what does this all really mean? If we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Mhm.
it seems pretty clear these solutions are becoming absolutely essential for brand resilience, for customer experience in this digital age we live in.
Mm.
They really are the critical infrastructure that lets brands hold on to their unique identity in what is, let's face it, a very fragmented world,
Well said.
which I think raises an important final question for you, the listener, to consider. As brands keep expanding their reach, using more personalized, more distributed campaigns,
Mm.
how do you think the very definition of brand consistency might evolve next? And what new challenges could that bring for organizations trying to maintain who they are?